For decades, the advice was simple: work hard, save, and you'll be secure. This was the mantra passed down from parents and grandparents, a formula that seemed to guarantee stability and a comfortable future. But for Gen Z, that wisdom feels outdated, almost like a relic from another era. The world they've inherited looks very different from the one their elders grew up in. They see their paychecks swallowed by bills, rent, student loans, groceries, and transportation, and wonder, why bother saving at all when there's so little left over each month? It's not about laziness or instant gratification. Instead, it's a response to a system that feels stacked against them, where the cost of living rises faster than their wages. Economic uncertainty, inflation, and stagnant wages make traditional milestones like homeownership or even building a safety net seem out of reach for many. When most of your income goes to just getting by, saving for a future that feels unattainable seems pointless. The idea of putting money away for decades down the line can feel almost laughable when today's needs are so pressing. Gen Z isn't rejecting financial security, they're questioning how to achieve it in today's world, where the old paths to success seem blocked or broken. Many feel stuck, criticized for small indulgences like coffee or takeout, while facing much bigger systemic barriers that make real progress feel impossible. The old rules don't fit their reality, and the frustration is real. It's not just about money, it's about feeling left behind by a system that doesn't seem to work for them. For many, saying saving is pointless is a way of expressing how overwhelming and unfair the system feels, and how hard it is to see a way forward. Before we talk solutions, we need to understand why the old advice no longer works, and truly listen to the challenges this generation faces. Only then can we begin to address the real obstacles Gen Z faces, and help them build a future that feels possible. Student debt is a massive hurdle for Gen Z, shaping their lives before they even start their careers. For many, the burden begins the moment they step onto campus, with tuition and fees rising every year. College was supposed to be a ticket to stability, a way to build a better future. But now, for millions, it's a source of crushing loans that follow them long after graduation. Monthly payments eat up their income before they can even think about saving. Every paycheck seems to disappear into a black hole of bills and debt. On top of that, rent has soared in cities and suburbs alike, forcing many to spend half their paycheck just to keep a roof over their heads. Affordable housing feels like a thing of the past. The basics, groceries, gas, utilities, keep getting more expensive while wages barely budge. Even simple pleasures like eating out or seeing a movie become rare treats. Even with careful budgeting, rising costs make saving nearly impossible. Every dollar is stretched to its limit, and unexpected expenses can throw everything off balance. Many are stuck living paycheck to paycheck, with no room for emergencies or future plans. The idea of building an emergency fund or saving for retirement feels out of reach. The job market isn't much help. Gig work and part-time jobs offer little stability or benefits. Many juggle multiple jobs just to get by, sacrificing free time and mental health. The dream of a stable career and homeownership feels out of reach. Buying a home, once a symbol of success, now seems like a distant fantasy for many. For Gen Z, saving isn't just hard, it feels like an impossible luxury. Even small savings goals can seem unattainable in today's economy. The combination of debt, high living costs, and job insecurity creates a perfect storm, leaving many feeling overwhelmed and hopeless about their financial future. It's not about poor choices, it's about a system that makes saving nearly unattainable, no matter how hard they try or how carefully they plan. That's the reality they're up against, a daily struggle just to keep their heads above water with no easy answers in sight. To truly understand Gen Z's struggle, you have to listen to their stories that echo across cities, campuses, and living rooms everywhere. Sarah, 24, shares that after paying rent, student loans, and her car payment, she's left with just $200 for the entire month. That's barely enough for groceries, let alone any savings or unexpected expenses. "I'm not thriving, I'm surviving," she says, her voice tinged with exhaustion and resignation. Alex, 22, juggles 2 part-time jobs just to make ends meet, often working late nights and early mornings. "Sometimes spending $30 to go out is what keeps me sane. I know I should save, but for what? A future that doesn't feel real," he wonders, torn between self-care and financial anxiety. Maria, 26, points out that her parents bought their first house at 25 for $80,000. Now that same house costs $450,000, but her salary hasn't kept up with the skyrocketing prices. "It's not my daily latte, it's a broken system," she says, frustrated by the blame placed on small pleasures instead of systemic issues. These stories aren't about irresponsibility or laziness, they're about a generation facing economic headwinds their parents never knew, and challenges that seem to multiply every year. Liam, 23, tries to save $20 here or $50 there, but every time he gets ahead, an emergency wipes it out. Car repairs, medical bills, or just a higher than expected utility bill. "My savings is just an emergency fund that's always empty," he admits, a sentiment echoed by many of his peers. The cycle is relentless, one step forward, two steps back. Every small victory is quickly erased by the next setback. Gen Z isn't giving up. They're resourceful, creative, and determined. But they're also overwhelmed by a system that feels impossible to beat, no matter how hard they try. Their frustration is real, and their stories are a call for understanding, not judgment. They want to be heard, not dismissed. The problem isn't a lack of effort, it's a lack of opportunity, and a world that keeps moving the goalposts. That's the reality behind the numbers. A generation doing their best in a world that often feels stacked against them. Social media has transformed how Gen Z views money. Every scroll shows curated lifestyles, exotic trips, designer clothes, trendy restaurants, fueling FOMO and the urge to keep up. The YOLO mindset, you only live once, isn't just about fun, it's a response to an uncertain future. If stability feels out of reach, why not enjoy the present? This leads to spending on experiences that bring immediate happiness, even if it means less saving. Influencers and ads push consumption, making spending feel normal and saving seem boring. Buy now, pay later services make it easy to overspend without feeling the impact right away. But social media isn't all bad. Finfluencers are making financial education accessible and relatable. Gen Z is learning to budget, invest, and hustle from peers, not just traditional experts. The challenge is tuning out the noise and finding advice that actually helps. Traditional financial advice often misses the mark for Gen Z, who face a very different world than previous generations. Tips like, just save 15% sound simple, or stop buying lattes, ignore the reality of high rent, student debt, and unpredictable gig work. Blaming small expenses feels out of touch and even a bit insulting to many. Financial institutions seem intimidating and geared toward the wealthy, not young people just starting out. Gen Z trusts relatable, transparent advice from peers over jargon-filled lectures from so-called experts. They're turning to online communities and apps for guidance and support, but that comes with risks of misinformation and confusion. The old advice doesn't fit, and Gen Z is searching for something that actually does. Despite the odds, Gen Z is redefining what financial success means. Instead of chasing homeownership or retirement, they focus on achievable goals, like building an emergency fund or paying off a credit card. They're entrepreneurial, using technology to create side hustles and new income streams. Micro-investing apps and automated savings tools make it easier to start small. Gen Z values experiences, mental health, and freedom over just accumulating wealth. They're making conscious choices about what truly brings happiness. Financial security is a means to a fulfilling life, not the end goal. This shift is leading to more intentional spending and a new definition of success. They're building a life on their own terms, even if it looks different from previous generations. That's their version of winning. Gen Z knows what they need for a fair shot at financial security. Top priority, real solutions for student debt, like loan forgiveness or lower interest rates. Affordable housing and wages that keep up with inflation are essential. Policies that ensure a living wage and worker protections would make a huge difference. When basic needs are met, saving and planning for the future become possible. Gen Z also wants practical, relevant financial education, delivered on digital platforms, not just in classrooms. They need advice that fits their reality, not outdated tips. With systemic changes and modern guidance, Gen Z can become powerful savers and builders. They're not asking for an easy path, just a possible one. They're hope, a future where financial security is within reach for everyone, not just a lucky few. That's the foundation they're fighting for. If you like this video, please share it with your friends, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and watch more of our great videos. Thanks for watching!